Was it all about Europe today?
It was all about Europe today. We saw that Standard & Poor's downgrade of 9 Eurozone countries coming out over the weekend. So really our region has been the first opportunity that we've seen for markets to react to this news, and it was decisively risk-off. One of the most dramatic moves that we've seen has been in the euro versus the Japanese yen. Now the Japanese yen is thought of as a safe haven currency, while the euro is seen as quite risky at the moment. And if I can bring up a 20-year chart of the euro versus the Japanese yen, and you can see that today what we saw was actually an 11-year low for the euro versus the Japanese yen, so the lowest levels that we've seen since the end of 2000. Equities sold off, as were US futures. We saw commodities sold off across the board as well. Silver prices were down, our copper prices were down by about 0.8%. So not surprising that we've pretty much seen a risk-off day, a bad performance for the Australian share market, and the materials and the financial sectors leading the losses.
We had some economic data out. Was that taken much notice of by the market, the likes of those ANZ job ads, housing finance as well?
The housing finance numbers were good for November, and remember, November was a month where we did see a rate cut, so it's good to see some numbers coming in above expectations here domestically. Market was expecting to see a rise of 1%. Instead, we saw a rise of 1.4%. And I guess while we have seen some of the currencies coming under pressure, the Australian dollar has held up fairly well in today's session, given that we have seen falls of about 1% on the Australian share market, so just trading under that 103 US cent mark. We also saw ANZ job ads, and this gives us a little bit of a flavour and a forward indicator of the jobs market heading into Thursday, where we see the official job numbers coming out in Australia for December. And the ANZ job ads did see a decrease of 0.9%. It's the first time that we've really seen a year-on-year decline in the last 12 months, and down 2.3% year on year. So if we have a look at the job numbers for December, the market's still expecting to see 10,000 job growth in Australia, and the unemployment rate to remain steady at 5.3%. So that's really going to be the big piece of economic news coming out here domestically. But of course, our market's so closely tied to news coming out of China, and tomorrow is going to be a big day in terms of news coming out of China, because we see industrial production as well as retail sales, and the big one, which will be fourth quarter GDP numbers. We are expecting to see 8.7% in terms of growth coming out of China for the fourth quarter. If we do see a number below that, that would be bad news for our commodity space as well as the Aussie dollar. But of course, a number exceeding that 8.7% mark could be good news for our market.
I want to focus on some of the